AITA for not talking to my mill after she insisted my daughter not sign at the dinner table? 29F. Have a daughter. 6F. From a previous relationship. Her father has no contact with her and my husband of 2 years. 30M. Is the closest to a father she has ever known. My daughter was born deaf and communicates via BSL. I am fluent having learned alongside her, and my husband, while not fluent, is getting there as he wants to be able to communicate with her fully and also help teach any children we have together to communicate with their older sister. We went to his parents for an Easter dinner. His siblings and nieces, nephews were all there, and we of course brought my daughter. All the kids were very happy to get plenty of chocolate and play together. The issue rose, however, during dinner as my daughter kept putting her fork and knife down to sign with me and my husband to talk. It was causing her to eat slower than everyone else, and my mill asked me to tell her to not sign at the dinner table as the food was going to get cold, plus it was setting a bad example and distracting for the other kids. I won't beat around the bush. I got angry. I told my mill that this is how my daughter communicates and I'm not going to make her not sign. I did encourage my daughter to continue eating before her dinner got cold, but to not sign? No. That pisses me off and makes me think of people who have tried to make my daughter play the quiet hands game, aka not sign. I told my mill the only way she could ask that of my daughter is if she told everyone else not to talk at all. We ended up leaving a little early, and my husband, while supportive of me, has tried to tell me that his mother didn't mean any real harm and she doesn't get why this would be a sensitive topic. I've refused to speak to my mill since that dinner and won't until she apologizes. My husband thinks I'm being a bit too harsh and I need to be the one to reach out with an olive branch on this matter, but I can't help but feel if this had been her biological grandchild who was deaf, she wouldn't have said something so insensitive or implied it was a distraction and bad example. I don't know. Maybe I'm too defensive as it's my child and I'm protective. What do you all think? NTA. Most people, if they did not understand why it was a sensitive issue, would apologize once it was explained to them. NTA. If the other children are allowed to talk at the table, but mill expects your daughter to sit without communicating, your mill is a massive asshole. NTA. If she didn't mean anything by it, then she can do what grown-ups do when we unintentionally cause hurt and apologize. NTA. Unless she was willing to ask everyone at the table to not talk. Husband should explain to his mother why it's a big deal to basically tell one child that she's a distraction and to be quiet and eat her dinner while the rest of the kids are allowed to talk and interact during dinner with everyone else. NTA. It's not her fault that she is deaf. She shouldn't not be allowed to sign unless no one else is talking. Also, the quiet hands game is really bad, and people who try and play the quiet hands game is absolutely disgraceful. Edit. Common question. What is that game? Basically, it's a game where people don't use their hands like signing stuff. So people who use their hands to communicate can't do anything. It's a really bad thing to treat kids like this. Edit number 2. I'm glad that this is getting the awareness it needs. NTA. If she had only said she didn't want your daughter to eat cold food, then I would understand where she was coming from, but to say signing is distracting and a bad example to the other kids is completely wrong and blatant discrimination. You are right to be angry. On Easter too? Is that where she wants to be when Jesus comes back? Edit. NTA. NTA. There is really no amount of reflection or analysis needed to understand why this request was harmful and discriminatory. A child could probably easily understand that not allowing a deaf person to sign means you are not allowing them to talk. There's no way that your Mill didn't mean any harm. It's clear she doesn't care about the effect on your daughter, and whether she is able to engage like everyone else. Only that Mill has control over the dinner table. Good for you. You sound like a great mom. Is this a common theme with your Mill, though? Not necessarily that specific request, but just not bothering to accommodate or engage your daughter. NTA. Mum of a hard of hearing teen that uses Auslan, Australian Sign Language. Some people need a serious lesson in deaf culture and how sign language users were oppressed and abused as children for signing. Not allowing a child to communicate in their known language is abuse, and anyone trying to stop the communication is an abuser. You are a great mom and keep backing up your girl. NTA. She was trying to shut your daughter up by cutting her line of communication. Unless she told everyone to shut up and eat, then she's the major a-hole for trying to silence a child who's deaf. I cannot fathom asking a deaf person not to sign. How incredibly insulting. NTA. Up. And good for you standing up for your kid. NTA. And your husband needs to find his spine so he can stand up to his mother. If your Mill behaves this badly on her turf, I'd only host dinners at my house. Or not eat with her at all. It wasn't your bad behavior that caused this. She should be the one to extend the olive branch. Strong NTA. I think your husband needs to bridge the gap though, so that his mom understands and gains a bit of empathy. NTA. It wasn't about her food being cold. Saying that a deaf child trying to communicate is bad manners, and distracting, is disgusting. Your husband should be asking his mom to apologize. NTA. And not acting overly defensive. MIL's request was careless and a bit cruel. Why does it matter if her food gets cold? Has she ever eaten dinner while having a conversation? I hope she realizes and apologizes. NTA. It's possible she meant no real ill will, but it doesn't change the fact she didn't think about what she was saying. I don't think she cares whether they're blood or not. I think that's just her as a person. NTA. Your husband may be right that you have to have the conversation with his mother about why your daughter isn't required to shut up at dinner. But only if he can't for some reason I can't imagine. Your mother-in-law is entitled to an explanation. But the fact that she requires one suggests you'll want to use small words. Telling a child not to sign is effectively silencing and isolating her. The Mill needs to apologize, and the op is 100% NTA, but that Mill is setting the bad example to all the children and adults, and completely the awe, and so is op's husband for Mo, making clear that he supports his stepdaughter's right to participate in life. NTA. But do you actually think that if we were talking about a biological grandchild, she would not have had that behavior? I don't. Honestly. It sounds like your husband's family has made no effort to learn sign language. Why should your daughter spend time with them if they make no effort to include her? Stand your ground on this. NTA. You Mill is wrong for that and is very insensitive to your daughter. Don't apologize and don't speak to her until she reaches out. Your husband needs to talk to his mom about her ridiculous actions. Hope it works out. Victory hand medium skin tone.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.